How about maybe could you just start with just a basic summary of your current narrative as it relates to your transition and how where you've been has brought you to where you are now?
The current narrative, that's funny because it's actually another transition. Because I just started to, I guess, explore again and just kind of stepping more outside of the binary. So, um, what helps me get to this point though is I'm always reminding myself that I don't have to be anything specific. There's no one way to be a person. So there's definitely no one way to be trans. There's no one way to be funny. Like there's just so many different ways to be, and I'm constantly reminding myself of that because I tend to get scared. I tend to think, oh, I have to perform this way, I have to perform that way, and it's just like, no, you don't have to do any of that. And I'm so grateful that I have friends who remind me of that. Friends who are even more out there than I am. And it just reminds me, okay, like it's just kind of like one big drag show. Like everybody can do whatever they want to do and however they want to. So, just to have fun with it really is my purpose. It's just to have fun.
So, do you think that your idea of that kind of self-expression has changed since transitioning?
I think it's always been there, but I learned to recognize it.
Mm,
It's always there underneath, but it's just the coming to that place of understanding that.
mm,
Because as I started to look back on my personhood as a child, I realized I didn't relate myself to any gender. I just was. I
mm.
just did what felt right. I had fun, and I related to the people that I related to, and it had nothing to do with gender. But as I started to uh, get pushback from people because that I wasn't normative, I started to then try and find something that I related to more, and that was the male experience as far as I understood it then.
Mhm.
Going forward now, where I'm like, it's all about fluidity. We all have the traits of either, and it's just about balance. That's when I started to say, okay, you know what, I am more neutral or just active in fluidity than I am, just one rigid set characteristic or idea about myself.
Do you feel like there was a certain social pressure to be a certain type of man as you were just beginning your transition? And do you feel like you had to kind of go to that far end of the binary spectrum before you could
Yes,
rebalance yourself?
absolutely. I mean, it was a mix of the expectations and also my own discomforts.
Mm,
Because, yeah, people expect someone who is masculine identified to have a flat chest, but as well, I was just uncomfortable with having a chest.
right.
So it was a mixture of two things, and it definitely was some pressure because I just commented on my video, what is it, Prejudice? I
Mm,
forgot the title, but I was just making a comment about how when you look for resources and transition and how to do stuff, a lot of it is like be masculine, do this way, sit like this, talk like that, wear these clothes, and it's just all this one idea of how to be a trans person that's transitioning to male, and it's just like, no, this is a bodily thing. It's not necessarily that I want to be more normative. I'm just trying to figure out, you know, how I want my body to feel and look. So it definitely is a lot of pressure. There's femphobia in the trans male community. There's homophobia. It's just almost like any other, more mainstream community. It's just a little different of experience.
sure. Um, do you think that you've found a new level of comfort in expressing both sides of your energies now since transitioning? Did that bring you a sense of confidence in expressing your femininity in a way that you didn't before?
It definitely has. It definitely has. Prior to my transition, I avoided a lot of things about myself, physically, psychologically, emotionally, in my relationships, in challenges. I just avoided a lot because I wasn't settled in me. And once I started to transition, it kind of took away the focus from the things that I was, fighting with. So once I started to find comfort in myself, it was like, okay, now I can get deeper into these levels. Now I can, sit down, be still, be quiet, and listen to what's happening because I'm not fighting my awareness of it.
And you think that created the space to be able to do that?
Yes, because like I said, uh, prior to transitioning, me and my body were not friends. I checked in on my body to go take a shower and to use the bathroom. That was it. It was no connection. There was no understanding. Now I can talk to my body. I
Mm.
can I can make it do stuff. If I want to cool down, I tell it to cool down. If I want to heat up, I tell it to heat up. Before, I had
No
no
connection.
understanding that. Yeah, I had no clue that you could do any of these things. But now it's like my body is telling me when I'm gonna get sick 2 weeks ahead of time.
Wow. That kind of dovetails with another segment of questions that I have about self care and about your relationship with your physical body and I guess your emotional body too. Because personally, I do feel a different kind of connection, like you're saying, that I couldn't have had before
Mhm.
because I was so disconnected from my body and my emotions. How do you feel that your relationship with your body has most changed? Is it around self care or is it around?
It's all self care because I think the whole experience is holistic. It's all together in one big piece, and everything affects the other thing. So, um, having the awareness of like my body helped me having awareness of my emotions because the emotions present themselves in the body. Like you feel fear in your stomach, you'll start having like I know for me, I'll start having gas, I'll start having cramps, all these things start to happen. So, because I have a connection to my body, I have a deeper connection to my emotions. Um,
When did you realize that you could have that sort of relationship with yourself?
well, I didn't realize what kind of relationship I could have, but I knew that I could have a better one than I had before.
Mm.
And knowing that it just pushed me deeper. Like I tended to get inspiration from people like what's his name, Tuck Mayo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because he does performance and stuff, and other guys who have done photo shoots and they just really just bare themselves.
Hmm.
And I'm like, whoa, like you're comfortable with yourself to do that. How did you get to that place? And I would question them. I would ask them, and I would just start to try and embody some of their actions
Hmm.
and nervously walk myself through it. But doing that, it helped me to break outside of my comfort zone. And once I started to explore more through activities, through engaging with people, and just exploring myself privately, just touch this, what's that, just really connecting to myself. That's when I started to realize, okay, this gets better.
What has been the biggest lessons that you have learned personally from transitioning? Um, and I guess it's a kind of a two-part question. What lessons do you feel that it's your responsibility now to teach other people?
That's fun. I was kind of reflecting on that yesterday. What the biggest lessons I learned and what I teach. Well, I think I starting from what I teach. I try and teach people that what's stopping you from understanding yourself better and liking yourself and having and enjoying an experience you can enjoy in this life is you. That it's all mental. That you can break outside of I don't know reality. What this idea that we have built up. It like notice a lot of it is deeper. A lot of it is spiritual because again, there's one experience. So, I mean, I from the transition, I just learned that nothing really matters, and yet everything does, and it all depends on your perspective of it. And I've learned that we're all the same. In the core, we all have the same drives. It might look different, but we're all here for the same thing, and that's just to get back to our source, to get back to our origins, where we have peace, where we have surrender and acceptance and understanding. And it just going through my transition just brought me to a place of being more compassionate. It brought me to a place of learning to listen better, and not making assumptions. Being in the community, you learn so much about how to just ask questions. You take more consideration for people with disabilities. You take more consideration for people who don't know how to articulate their needs. It's just because like you come more in contact with yourself, you realize, okay, I need it more than I thought I did. Okay, so what am I doing to other people that might be the same thing that someone did to me?
Mm.
And it just caused a lot of reflection, and I think that's what I really want to promote for people is to explore yourself because before I transitioned, I had a lot of fear about exploring myself, just even acknowledging that I had certain feelings and feeling like they were right, feeling like it was okay to feel what I felt and to explore them. And I just want people to understand, one, you're not the only person going through it. Two, you have every right to do what it is you need to do for yourself and you don't have to explain it. But if you need some coaching here, I'm going to explain this to you and this is why. You know, it's a lot.
Can we talk for a minute about fear? You just touched on it a little bit, and I'm fascinated by it. I feel like my relationship with fear has changed. What have you learned about fear in going through the transition process, or just going through life in general?
How I navigate fear, like I said, I view everything as a physical response. You know that everything is in the body. So when I start to feel fear inside my body, I have a friend who is a spiritual leader, and what he does, he says, "Take a breath," and I just breathe, and it's kind of like you feel everything just kind of crawling in on you. But the thing is to surrender to that. I just imagine, wait, I'm literally in space right now. Why am I afraid of a feeling? So it's just like,
It's all
okay,
about perspective.
yeah, exactly. So it's like, okay, experience this feeling, be neutral towards it. Watch it like you would a squirrel at a park. You're not going to be afraid of it because you see it and don't know it. You're going to watch it and figure out what its behavior is like. What is its drive? What is it going towards? Where did it come from?
Mm.
And it's really just feeling it, but not letting it take me away. And just remembering I'm okay. Just keep telling myself, like, you literally have to tell yourself to activate your brain and your body to do certain things. You have to tell yourself, no, I'm okay,
Is
because
that
voices will get to you.
yeah, for sure
You
they will, and
yeah,
they don't go away.
it'll be louder.
They do. So, how how do you take action? How do you, when you feel the fear, and it's especially in creative, I mean, as a creative person, the fear comes up in a lot of different forms. Like you procrastinate, you find all the reasons in the world to not
Yes.
create and to not publish, to not whatever, put your message in the world.
hmm
How do you, when you hit that and you realize that's what it is, how do you take action anyway?
Um, I tend to try and clear the energy of fear because it builds up and it becomes almost like my body. It just becomes a state of I amness. And so I try and get out of it by exercising. Like, I'll go for a walk, I'll go for a run, I will dance. Especially dance is a good way to like feel your body and get back inside yourself and
Hmm.
feel like you have a purpose, because you're doing something out of pure joy,
Hmm.
you know. Um, but outside of the physical stuff, I'll tell somebody. I will tell somebody, hey, I'm trying to do this, but this is how I feel and this is what's happening. And I know that it's an illusion. And yes, I am coming to you for some affirmations and validations right now. Sometimes I think my friends get tired of it, but I have to check in,
Yeah,
you know?
I think that's awesome that you are in a place where you can vocalize what you need and ask for it, and put yourself out there in a place that allows you to receive what you need from the people in your life.
And even that is fearful.
Yeah,
Because I know some people are like, well, I would never do that. No, you have to. You kind of have to, stand behind yourself and push yourself through that door, because otherwise you're just going to stay stuck. You're going to stay in the same places of fear and in the moments when you could be progressing.
right.
Tell somebody.
Why do you think that change is so scary?
Because you're literally changing your DNA.
Mm.
You're literally changing the way your brain functions. You're changing your environment. You're letting go of things. Really, is what it is that you're letting go of familiar, things that are familiar to us, and we don't know what's going to come next. Am I going to have the same comfort? Am I going to have the same safety? Am I going to have the same fun? Even, it, we we're very creative. We make up a lot of stuff like, oh, the ground is going to collapse beneath me type things, and it's just like, no, you're just going to be in a different place.
Hmm.
So I think change is just scary just because it's different.
No,
It's just different.
it is. It is.
Mhm.
Um, I want to talk about uh, God and your idea about God or religion have changed at all,
Oh, yes.
and how.
I've been wanting to write about this.
You should.
It actually started because um, taking testosterone changes me. I don't know about other people, but it changes the energies in my body. Whereas I might have a certain balance of masculine and feminine. When I go on testosterone, it's like all masculine. I don't like that because I start to feel like I'm missing out on the other half of myself. Um, but what happened was, I was going through that, but I didn't understand it. I just knew that I was having some difficulty, I guess, integrating the personalities as I was transitioning. Because everything changes. It's not just, oh, my body's changing. No, everything is changing.
Hmm.
Psychologically, with your experience with people, everything is changing. And it was like a dark period, and I felt like I lost my internal feminine voice, my feminine connection, all of that. And that's when I started seeking, and I started to have a lot of dreams reveal a lot of information to me. I always was connected to my dreams, but I started to have a deeper understanding of what was really occurring. Because I had a dream where I was, I don't know, like the Grand Canyon or something, and I'm flying above, and I'm sitting next to a medicine man, and he's saying to me, he says, everybody has the religion or the God that they're supposed to. This was assigned to them for this point in their journey. If they don't have one, that is for them as well. And he was just saying, you don't have to try and change nobody, and also you don't have to try and change yourself, because at the time I identified as atheist.
Hmm.
Um,
Oh wow.
yeah. So it was funny how I got back, but
That's quite a transition right
yeah,
there.
yes,
We'll have to have a whole other interview just about that. Wow. So from
yeah.
atheism to now, I mean, you believe in something now, I'm
Hmm.
guessing. I
Hmm.
mean, it sounds like you had a mystical
I believe in everything.
in everything. I love that.
Yeah, even religions I don't know, I know that for somebody it's active because they are creating that. Like literally, I think we create the deities. I mean, they're there, but we definitely bring a personhood to them, to where we can connect to them as a human trying to connect to a god. Because we can connect to it very much internally, and I do believe we're all a piece of that. We're all like all together. We are that. And that is including our environment, the trees, the animals, the pebbles, everything that's in existence. I feel like comes from that source. Like I can stare at an object and see the vibrations occurring and see the source energy circulating in it. And it's just like I'm not any different from this object right now. We're made of the same stuff.
That's amazing.
You break us down, we're gonna have the same essence and core. So,
I'm
uh,
just sort of fascinated by that transition from believing in nothing now to believing in everything and how that happens. Is it a connection that you feel now that you didn't feel then?
it is because again, I connected to myself,
Mm.
and I feel like we are the path to that. Because I mean, like they say, you're born in this world without sin and all this and that. And I'm not even going to get into that, but you're born into this world very connected. Because as a child, you just, I'm hungry. I got to do this, and it's like there's no shame, there's no pride, there's no worry. You're just literally functioning the way that you were meant to. But as you get older, you start to develop personalities, and you walk like this and you talk like that, and it just pulls us further away from our origins, but it pulls us more into society.
Mm.
And I feel like going forward, a lot of us end up going back, and that's essentially what I did. I grew up in a Christian household, where we go to church on Sunday, had Sundays, Saturday school, and all this other stuff. Read the Bible, blah blah blah, and it just never resonated with me because I'm sitting here in the church and I'm being attacked. I'm a
Mm.
child, and they're attacking me for being a tomboy, for being a lesbian, for being non-normative, and I'm just like, that to me is not resonating. It didn't activate here, and I said that's not right. So I said, I don't believe, and I started to explore the self a lot more, and that's when I started to find through what they say, you subconsciously go to places. That's when I started to find the signs that I needed and the understandings that I needed and the people who would help me bridge that contact to the source. So it definitely was a process of unlearning, which gifted me with this ability to perceive.
Mm. I think that that is so important. And the fact that there are so many people. I had a very similar upbringing and early belief systems that were rooted in fundamental Christianity, and that was for me was a really hard thing to break away from because I couldn't find my place in that world as a spiritual being or somebody who I just didn't know how I
Man, they
fit.
tell you that spirituality is bad. They tell
Yeah,
you that magic is wrong, but at the same time, they're operating in it all the time.
exactly. I
And
feel like
people,
dogma is rooted in a mystical experience of
it
some
is, it
some.
is. It's just a way to bridge it through religious actions and behavior so that the connection is sustained. But the thing is, I feel like we took something that was meant for one person and tried to make it for everybody. You know, I can't reach the source the way certain people reach it. Like certain people got certain chants. I don't necessarily need to chant.
Mhm.
You know, for me, meditation is running or walking. You know, for somebody else, that's distracting. You know, so it's like the whole idea that you have to do it this way, I feel like is where we're failing one another. You know, we're supposed to just teach the tools that are available and say these are all tools. Just like all the religions are the tools, all of them are tools. You just have to use it in a way that is useful for yourself. And for some reason, a lot of religions are afraid of saying useful for you.
Mm.
They want you to say useful for us, but it sounds good, but it doesn't actually equate to anything.
Mm.
You know, just a show after that.
And it's damaging for people who have been really hurt and isolated and rejected by that. I mean, for me, I grew up thinking that God hated me,
Hmm.
and so how am I supposed to create any sort of connection in that place from
Hmm.
that place? And so that's why I'm excited to have these kind of conversations to show
Hmm.
people that there's a way to connect directly for yourself. You don't have to go through religion. You can have a direct experience for yourself and
Hmm.
find those answers within yourself. Um, and I think that's why I love hearing other perspectives from people who kind of gone through this secondary transition and who have found these answers for themselves. So I
Hmm.
think it's awesome. And so where do you want people to find you? I mean, is it mainly your YouTube channel?
So right
Is
now, the only places they can find me is on my website, which is focused towards, you know, photo and video and graphic design,
oh great,
which is zaycreative.com,
Zay Creative.
XAY creative.com.
Great.
My Instagram, I share a lot of stuff there, you know, information. I'm vulnerable wherever I go. Um, you know, so Instagram, Facebook, all Zay Creative. Zay Creative on Facebook. Instagram is Hey Zay underscore. Um,
So what would you say is the message that you're wanting to put out in the world that you're wanting to share with? And I don't know if it's trans people that you're hoping to connect with, or if it's just society at large, or
Everybody, but
everybody.
specifically trans people,
Mm,
because I felt a lot of pain about myself, and it was all related to gender. If we
mm,
took away the entire context in which people were being rude towards me and shunning me and just being nasty, the opposite of Christ-like, that I wouldn't have a lot of the traumas that I have because literally people did certain things to me based on how I looked, based on my body, based on ideas from the world about what I was supposed to be as an individual.
mm,
And I just want to remind people you can operate outside of that. And you create your own love, you know, you create your own energy in life and you recycle it, you know. So the more you congratulate yourself and, you know, be kind to yourself and listen like you would any other friend, the more you have that in your life. You know, like you were saying, you thought God hated you, and it's funny, I thought so too, and so I had a lot of hateful experiences.
mm,
I navigated myself towards lessening myself with people. I navigated towards things that did not helped me because I thought in some ways I deserved it. And so I made myself open to that kind of energy.
mhm,
But the more I started to say, hey, I deserve better than that. I deserve more than this. I want this kind of friendship. I want this kind of love. That's when I started to actually find it. You know, that's when it started to actually come into my life because I opened up my access to it and my awareness. So definitely, I think the lesson I'm trying to teach people is that you are the key to all of that. You are the key to your source energy. You are the key to your light. You are the key. Open yourself up.
that's good stuff.